We are currently still reading this report in detail, so I don't have any comments to make at the moment. Nevertheless, but I would like to remind you of the principles of our position on this topic. Pushbacks are illegal under EU law. Any accusations of pushbacks need to be investigated by the member states, and we need to make sure that if this never happens again. We have a new pact on migration and asylum, and in that we have proposals concerning the borders, and every member state is obliged to establish a monitoring procedure to make sure that people's rights are fully respected at the borders. So that's an additional point that has been introduced to ensure full compliance with fundamental rights at the border. Thank you.
Perhaps a few points I could make in that respect. Firstly, I would just point out that the Commission is very concerned about the recurring reports about pushbacks on the border. That said, the Commission cannot intervene in individual cases. It's always a matter for the national authorities to investigate and then to take the appropriate measures through the normal judicial procedures in place in the member states. That's a key aspect of for the judicial authority of each member state. That's not an area in which the Commission can intervene. Then, in terms of a structural solution which would ensure greater confidence that EU law is fully respected on the borders, one important step we have taken is to propose the measure I referred to in our proposals for the new package on migration and asylum. And in addition, and in parallel with a number of states, we're working to enable them, even before this pact is adopted, to put in place similar measures, similar mechanisms. I can mention Croatia, for example, with which we are working well. It's moving ahead effectively, and also with Greece, which was discussed by Commissioner Johansson and Minister Mitriakis. He began by saying that we are studying the report in depth, so we haven't said our final word on this. Once we have completed our evaluation, you will have more detail and more clarity about our position. Adalbert, do you have anything to add? Not at this stage, I'm afraid. We will have to complete a more in-depth analysis of this report before giving more in-depth reactions. This report is not specifically addressed to the Commission, and it doesn't require a response just from the Commission, but first and foremost from the Member States, in fact, and in fact for all UN Member States, because this is a report which was drawn up as part in the framework of the UN General Assembly. Thank you very much, Adalbert. I'm going to have to beg for your indulgence because this requires a dissertation on EU law, and I'm afraid I won't be able to give you a sufficiently in-depth response on this. The Commission has a number of tools at its disposal in terms of enforcing EU law, infringement procedures, but also other dialogue, channels of dialogue with the Member States, and the Commission remains in permanent dialogue with the Member States to remind them of their obligations, to highlight any possible dysfunctions, and to consider what legal recourse is open where necessary. But I can't go into this in depth here in the press room. This will be somewhat too complicated and in depth. Thank you very much, Adalbert. Thank you to all.